We are now at the conclusion of an eyebrow transplant. Just finished a few minutes ago, and what I wanted to show you is some of the design work what we've done here. It's a very soft sloping gentle transition for the brow. The actual peak of the eyebrow for a female should rest somewhere just lateral to the lateral limbus, which is roughly here. The lateral canthus is here, and it's a little bit too far out, but you can see that the transition zone from the medial to the lateral aspect, from the inner to the outer aspect, is roughly the transition right just outside of the lateral limbus, which is very attractive. We don't try to create these brows too high or too low, but we match where the brow should be. Sometimes we see when people paint brows after, for example, or tattoo brows after, for example, some aging, they try to make it way too high, and it really screws up almost everything else. We follow the natural eyebrow contour that was there. This was partly removed from some aggressive plucking in youth, and so we just put it back in. This is from temple hair, and the temple hair that we've used is finer but not that fine. In the Caucasians, the eyebrow hairs are actually a little bit coarser than the hairs that are in the natural head, whereas the opposite is true in Asians. What you're seeing here is the very flat angulation, so this thing is sticking out. Flat is in relative vis-a-vis to the actual surrounding skin. And the central club is actually one that spirals upward and then starts to blend forward, sorry, not forward, but out this way. As we go into the outer tails, they start to crisscross almost like a fishbone, and that helps bring the eyebrow into a very natural configuration as it goes and tapers outward. The other thing is that if you notice that the grafts here are much stronger, these are actually 3-hair grafts, which is rarely used in an eyebrow transplant, but given how fine the actual caliber of the hair is, this young lady was able to actually have a thicker 3-hair graft and still look extremely seamless in this. We usually instead use 1 or 2-hair grafts, but this was very not only acceptable, but it will provide the needed density that that is necessary in the inner part of the eyebrow. It will also help provide that transition from a thicker aspect to a finer tapered look as we go forward outward. We're going to go and take a look at the other side. We are now at the other side. There's not much to see. You've heard everything I've said here. The little bit of blood is just normal. It's just tiny droplets, and that's just because we're just a few minutes out from grafting this area. And before, there was really nothing there. And this nice lady is actually going to do a little diary for us as a separate video, and we're going to follow her over a period of a week and just to explain and understand the recovery. Let's do a medium shot. We're doing a medium shot here, and you can actually see one other thing here is how symmetrical everything is, but beyond that, there's a swollen quality because tumescence is used during the initial part of the procedure and also throughout the procedure just to create a platform for which to place these grafts. When you tumesce the area, you preserve the vasculature, the blood supply to the area very well. It also straightens out the area, provides a turgid platform upon which to work, and finally allows you to place the grafts in a tighter configuration, because as the swelling dissipates, they actually shrink down a little bit, so you get a tighter configuration you couldn't have done without the tumescence. So the little bit of distortion and swelling is evident. As I mentioned, we're going to go ahead and follow this lady in a separate video for the week for an eyebrow diary.